Hey, what's up guys? My name is Rob and welcome back to Rule of Two Review. And today I'm going to discuss my feelings on the Mortal Kombat X DLC. So today is the release day for Mortal Kombat X, which of course we know is the 10th Mortal Kombat in the long-running series, which is one of my favorite series of all time. You've heard me talk about it a couple of times probably. I am old enough to have been gaming when the first Mortal Kombat was brand new, so I totally got caught up in all that hype back then. And it was like the craziest, coolest things, man. Mortal Kombat and its violence was legendary. In school, at the lunch cafeteria, in line for PE class, and at recess. I mean, it was all we talked about. And I heard about the game and people, friends of mine, talking about it. You can rip guys' heads off and it's all bloody and you can rip someone's beating heart out. And my friends would talk about it at school, and my mind was just exploding with fireworks of joy and wonder inside, because all I could think of was, I must see this game, I must play this game. It sounded amazing. And then I finally got my hands on it at an arcade, and it was just the best thing ever. And then, of course, we know the home console ports and the legacy of Mortal Kombat then continued throughout, and I've been a huge fan this whole time. I thought Mortal Kombat 9, the last one, which was released for the PS3 and Xbox 360, was pretty great. They've been doing a lot of good things for most of the most recent games. Mortal Kombat 10, again, just came out today. I picked it up myself last night at 9 o'clock p.m. where I live on the West Coast. So I've had a pretty good amount of time with it. You're, of course, watching my gameplay footage of the game right now currently. And what's interesting is, with this Mortal Kombat, here it is, the 8th generation. There's a lot of controversy that has come along with the 8th generation of consoles and PC gaming, whether it's frame rate stuff, whether it's broken games, whether it's patches, whether it's DLC. And when it comes to Mortal Kombat, the way it's released now in 2015, the DLC conversation is kind of what applies to this current game. So the reason I'm making this quick video and having this conversation with you guys today about Mortal Kombat 10 and the DLC, or Mortal Kombat X, I guess, whatever you want to call it, and the DLC, is because there's a lot of people that I noticed are complaining. Only one or two people that I really know, but I've just kind of seen some shit on the internet today that I kind of expected but was really hoping not to see, and it's actually very disappointing. A lot of complaints being lodged against Mortal Kombat for all of the DLC that's available, and the combat pack or whatever it's called, and all these other things, and whether or not you have to buy certain moves and stuff in the game and whatnot. And typically, if you know me, typically I would be very much against that idea. You know, I've lambasted a lot of other games for doing that the wrong way. A lot of other companies and games so far this generation have been doing DLC and day one DLC release stuff the wrong way. I absolutely will freely admit that. But that doesn't mean that there isn't a scenario where it's actually okay. I think Mortal Kombat, the reason that I'm bringing this up today, is that Mortal Kombat is a game that is doing it right. And I think that it is okay for us to remember that, as wrong as it may be to push for all this extra money to you know, squeeze out of gamers and consumers, you know, the day a game releases. And, you know, there are so many bad practices when it comes to this stuff. Alien Isolation is one. And I've even made my own video complaining about the fact that Goro, for this game exactly, was behind the pre-order wall. But there are still so many other games that I think can do it right, and I think it's fair to include Mortal Kombat in that conversation. And here's the reason why. I'm going to draw a quick comparison to Nintendo's games, and the fact that Nintendo, my favorite company, and a lot of people who follow Rule of Two Review, it's also their favorite company. I know I have a lot of Nintendo and Wii U fans who follow the channel, as you should. You know, it's my favorite console, it's my favorite gaming platform, Nintendo's my favorite company right now. And so a lot of us follow and love Nintendo. And this last, you know, year or two in this 8th generation for the Wii U, Nintendo has started to adopt some DLC, and for the 3DS as well. Nintendo is working in the DLC market currently. They're dabbling in it. They're beginning to, you know, dip their toes into the free-to-play market, we know as well. That's something I'm really not a big fan of, but that's a different conversation for another day. We know that they've been working with DLC with Smash Brothers, Hyrule Warriors, Mario Kart, Pikmin 3, all sorts of things. And I just find it interesting that when it comes to games like Nintendo's games, like those ones just mentioned, Mario Kart and Hyrule Warriors, to me, are really, really obvious examples here. A lot of people, and myself included, have given Nintendo in those games a pass on the DLC complaint market because a lot of us feel, again, myself included, that Nintendo is doing it right. And what does it mean that Nintendo is doing it right? Well, to me, what it means is that Nintendo has released a complete, full experience, a game that needs no extra content to be fun, enjoyable, and worth its full price the day that the game releases. To me, that makes DLC that's available, whether it's right the same day that the game is released or even a couple of weeks later, that makes DLC okay because it's literally, factually supplementary. It is additional to what has already been a complete product with tons of features, content, characters, maps, modes, features, all these different things that could be included in any given game. Characters, things like that. And so you release a game that's that complete, and then you have additional stuff you can buy, like the Hyrule Warriors pack, which allows you to buy a bunch of separate individual packs with extra modes and characters and weapons and stuff, or you could buy it all together, like a season pass, and have that release. And I think that stuff is okay. And a lot of people also think that stuff is okay. And Nintendo, my favorite company, who isn't perfect, still has been given a pass on the DLC market so far because so far they've done it well. And what's interesting to me is I think Mortal Kombat is the exact same way. And again, I am saying this as somebody who owns the game and is and has been playing the game. Again, you are watching my footage right now. It's amazing to me how quick people on the internet and in the gaming world will jump on something with only so much knowledge available to them, and typically without even experiencing the game or being willing to spend their money to kind of determine if the game really is worth it or not. I mean, I came out against Evolve and the DLC structure that game had, but still was convinced by my brother and some of his friends to pick up the game because they wanted to play with me because they thought it was really fun. And I was like, you know what? Let me just give it a shot. I was happy to take that game Evolve, which I didn't really believe in because of the DLC structure. And I was like, you know what? Let me just see if I'm right or wrong. Let me see if the complaints are correct or not. Maybe I was wrong. And so I was willing to educate myself by picking that game up. All things considered, I learned that I was right, basically, in the sense that the game wasn't nearly as fun or fleshed out as I expected. It was very boring and repetitive, and the DLC that they released that day and compared to what was included in the game when it launched, absolutely atrocious. And I returned that game. I did not trade it back in. I returned it for my full money as if I had never purchased it. But I'm proud to say that now when I lodge a complaint against Evolve, for example, I really know what I'm talking about because I played the game. I even owned it. I risked my money to own that game and actually learn about it, hoping to be proven wrong and have a game that I would have learned was actually a hell of a lot of fun and worth my purchase. I was proven wrong. That's okay. I had to return the game. I got my money back. So when you look at Mortal Kombat, this whole thing relates back to this current conversation, of course. When you look at Mortal Kombat, I can tell you as somebody now who is actually educated on the game, who owns the game, who paid my hard-earned money to pick the game up last night when it launched, that this game, without any DLC, I haven't paid $1 for DLC. I reserved the game, so I did get Goro, but that was $5 I'd already paid for the game that I had to spend. This game that I have paid $60 for last night, chock full of content, completely worth its $60 value, right out of the box, the amount that I paid last night for this game. So what I think is pretty cool, and I want people to pay attention to this and say, hey, maybe I can actually be excited about Mortal Kombat again. I'm telling you, yes, there was a ridiculous amount of extra DLC, and all of the combat packs that you could buy last night to get like Jason Voorhees and the Predator and all this stuff, that shit was $30. I couldn't believe how much GameStop showed me it was to get that whole thing at one time. $29.99. Oh my God, way too much money. For what, especially for what it's giving you, way too much money. That being said, it's optional, it's additional, and it's totally something that you don't need to enjoy the 100% full Mortal Kombat experience. Not the 99% Mortal Kombat experience. I am telling you guys, this game for $59.99 is a 100% complete and fun, fully featured, fully fleshed out Mortal Kombat experience. There's several single player modes. You've got the story mode, you have the tower mode, you've got a couple practice and tournament modes, you've got online, and you've got just regular old verse battle, co-op with somebody sitting next to you. There's several modes, and there are so many characters. Like, I forgot how many characters were going to be in this game. I mean, I don't know the number off my head. It's I think it's for sure more than 20. It's like 20 or 25 characters or something insane. And each character has a crazy amount of movesets and variety. There's 3 different variations of fighting styles you can give each character, which gives them different special moves and different fatalities, and fuck, it's ridiculous. And there's like 12 or 15 different maps and unlockable ones to boot. So, and this is, again, all without a single bit of DLC. Like, I want the Predator, but I'm not going to pay that money for that extra stuff. Now, that whole idea of not paying extra for the Predator, which I would otherwise want, kind of goes back to my initial complaint video I made about the DLC for Mortal Kombat a couple of months ago, which I'll link below for you to watch and kind of get an idea of. The difference here is that with Goro, putting him behind any kind of wall, whether it would have been a paywall or a pre-order wall, Goro is a character that should have been involved with Mortal Kombat. That's a character that you don't do that with. He's part of the quintessential Mortal Kombat experience because that character's been around forever. You don't hide him behind a pre-order or a paywall. I'm obviously willing to forgive it because, again, I didn't pay extra to get him, and I was already going to reserve the game, so it didn't really affect me, other than that I thought it was really the wrong thing to do. Now, characters that are going to be downloadable content and optional, something like a Predator or a Jason, which is just a fun addition if you're willing to pay for it, but completely non-essential to the Mortal Kombat experience, that's okay. So that's why, even though I think the DLC is totally ridiculous and exorbitantly priced and not worth it, it's so surplus and so not necessary that it doesn't matter, because my Mortal Kombat experience isn't being hindered because I'm not paying the extra $30 to have the DLC that they're offering and all these extra costumes and characters and all this shit that I don't really care about. Like, it's not being hindered. Now, if you held half of the roster or half of the maps or important characters like Sub-Zero or Scorpion or even Goro behind a paywall of DLC, huge problem, and we would be having a different conversation right now. But again, in wrapping this whole kind of rant sort of video up, I'm telling you that's not the case. I am proud to report and happy to tell all of you who might have concerns about Mortal Kombat and the DLC. Personally, I don't think, as a huge old school OG Mortal Kombat fan, I don't think that they are doing us dirty with this DLC. I think that they should be applauded for, yes, they're still doing the business model, the common business model today of DLC and season passes and whatnot, but what they also did do that a lot of these other companies aren't do is releasing a complete Mortal Kombat experience day one for the same price that you would pay for any other game. They are giving us exactly what they are supposed to give us and treating DLC as additional add-on content the way it's supposed to, and the exact way other great companies like Nintendo, for example, have been handling their DLC that a lot of us are willing to let go. So that's it. That's my video about Mortal Kombat and stuff today. I hope that this makes sense for you guys. Make no mistake, so far I'm loving Mortal Kombat. I might do like a Let's Play kind of video where you can see me playing and sucking. I'm so bad right now. I'm so out of practice with Mortal Kombat. It's so unfortunate. But the game is amazing. It looks wonderful. There's a lot of variety in the characters. I love the settings and the scenery and the movesets. It's a lot of fun. I'm really happy with this game so far. So the game is great. It's complete without the DLC. If you want the DLC, right, good on you. Enjoy. Have fun. If you can afford it and you think it's worth it, I support anyone who wants to buy it. That is the exact definition and purpose of DLC. It's only supposed to be additional if you want it, but it's not essential for the game experience. And again, Mortal Kombat, it is unessential. I'm done. I'm wrapping this up. Thanks as always, for tuning in, guys, to my video and my information here. Of course, if you're new to Rule of Two Review, please feel free to subscribe to the channel, like, comment, and share. You can follow the links below to the Facebook page and the Twitter for Rule of Two Review, both of which I do run. Share your thoughts about Mortal Kombat X. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll catch you guys on another video for Rule of Two Review.